Hey math friends, this is John and I am here today to show you how to create a problem set using Stratocumulus ALOFT. Now remember what the basic strategy is here. A problem set is a collection of groups of problems that you're going to at some point assign to your students. Now in practice, the problem sets are reusable. If you were very organized, you could make it so that this is trig section 4.3 in your book, and that would be something that you could just keep from semester to semester. I have to admit, I am generally not that organized, and so I tend to create the problem sets fresh every semester, but you can do it however works for you. So from the dashboard of tasks that's available to you with your account on Stratocumulus, you're going to go down to create a new problem set. Click. All right. So we create a name for this problem set. Let's just say I'm doing trig, and I'm going to actually call this homework, let's just say 4.5. Okay, now, by the way, when it says here, when you create this name for the problem group, be reasonable about it. This is going to actually be the name of a file that it's creating on the server. So don't do things like put slashes in it, or also don't put underscores. It has something to do with how the database is organized. Underscores in the names are bad. But whatever, just use plain text and call it whatever you want. All right, then you're going to select the problems that you want to show. So I would be looking for something in this library of trig problems. Maybe chapter 4.5 is, let's just say that that's something in trig functions. Maybe that is something about the graphs of other trig functions. Okay, so that is the day that we're doing graphs of secants and cosecants and things like that. And I recognize that these menus are a little bit awkward. It was just a trick I knew how to set up in HTML. So at the present time, in that category there, I have 4 groups of problems that I have created when I created ALOFT. A little description of each one is there. Remember, each of these groups has several dozen to maybe as many as 100 sample problems in there, and a selection of those problems will be shown to your students. Now, all you have to do is just mark the types of problems you want to see. And honestly, most of the time, I just mark all of them. In this particular case, I don't think I would. I don't actually care in my trig class whether the students know about even and odd functions, so maybe I'll not mark that one. And maybe while I'm at it, I also would like for them to review what they learned about the graphs of sines and cosines. So I could go up here to graphs of sines and cosines and mark a few problems here as review. Okay, all that happens if they're marked as review is that they'll be in a slightly different color. They're still graded the same and stuff like that. It's just for the students, they'll be clear visually that this is something different. That's all you have to do. Now, there's all these other options you can look into as to what you can modify. All of them have this little hover over for more info that can give you more information, although each of them I'm also going to create a video about. Generally speaking, steer clear of the require work at this time. I can show you later how that works in another video. Probably the thing that will be most interesting to you as to how many questions to ask from each pool here. Like at the present time, it's asking 6 questions about identifying the graph or finding the period of the graph of a trig function. Then we would just change the number of problems. It can only be from 2 to 6. Honestly, even at 2 problems, students are going to start guessing. At more than 6 problems, students get frustrated and they start guessing. So that's in the range there. Another thing that is a nice thing you can do is you can adjust the amount of time they are permitted. What's the minimum amount of time they can spend on a group of problems? I usually leave that at 30 seconds, but you certainly reduce the amount of guessing that happens if you set it to 60 seconds. And there's also this nice place here where you can leave a note to your students at the top of the page, and then every problem will have a little reminder of the students to check your notes. This can be things like referring them to particular pages in the textbook, or maybe a handout that you gave them. I think it could be used, for example, for English language learners if you wanted to post the instructions in a different language. Okay, so once you have set up this problem set however you want, you would just hit submit. And it says the problem set was saved successfully. We go back to the task page. All right, in later videos, I'm going to show you things about how you would take that and turn it into an assignment that now would actually be ready for the students. All right, please let me know if you have any questions, and I am so happy that you're interested in ALOFT.